جمال الوجود بذكر الإله.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم وبعد. Jazakumullah khaira for this opportunity and for coming so that we can discuss some insightful presentations regarding the renewal of youth education. And the whole reason for youth education and renewal of youth education is, as we speak about tajdeed, reformation and renewal, we have to realize and understand that all the efforts that we are making towards tajdeed is for the youth. So everything that we're discussing in this entire conference is related to the youth, because that is the party and that is the group that we are working with. So if we don't understand the group that we are working with, then we can speak about tajdeed, we can speak about reformation, we can speak about renewal. But until we don't understand the generation that is being built and the generation that is coming up, we will not understand how to work with this generation. So the whole idea of the session is, as you can see, renewing our approach to youth education. So we will discuss the workshop overview. What are we looking at and what do we need to discuss? What is going to be discussed in our workshop? So after the presentation, inshallah, we can understand how far we have reached, and if there is any inputs from everyone in this session, inshallah, we can definitely discuss these inputs. So we're speaking about reforming Islamic education to meet today's youth challenges. That is the first idea of having this workshop. We need to reform Islamic education so that we can understand our youth and we can relate to the youth and we can understand on which spec the youngster is trying to move in today's generation. The second is we need to combine academic excellence with spiritual and moral growth. That is the second purpose of the workshop. Inshallah, we'll get into more detail. Integrating informal outdoor learning setups as part of the curriculum. This is something that I am very passionate about, and we will see a few slides regarding this whole idea of integrating outdoor informal setups. The objectives of the workshop. Why are we doing this? We need to identify major youth challenges today. Number one, if we don't identify the problem, we cannot find the solution. We have to understand why traditional schooling needs reform. So this is very important. Why does traditional schooling need reform? Because we don't move away from our principles. We don't move away from Sharia and from what was revealed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But then what needs to change? That is what we will discuss, inshallah. Explore faith-based frameworks for moral development. So we are going to explore how with our faith, with iman, with a'mal, we can now integrate this into the youth so that we have upright leaders. And then we are going to speak about introducing youth camps, informal halqas, and outdoor education. Design action steps for Islamic institutions. Now, the reason I am saying that we have to design action steps for Islamic institutions is because when we leave from here, we need to leave with something. If we only leave with the education of the challenges of youth and nothing more, then when we go back, we'll only speak about challenges, but we will never speak about solutions. So we have to understand the problem, but with the problem comes a solution. We have to understand the issue at hand, and together with that comes a solution. And lastly, we have to emphasize the need to address sensitive topics. Now, let us go directly into youth challenges today. What are the youth challenges? What are the major challenges that the youth face today? So we speak about Gen Z, we speak about the Alpha, we speak about a generation that is growing up with so many things that we didn't grow up with. And one thing that we need to, we as educators as well, but we might be parents as well. We might be grandparents as well. So we have to look at it from that perspective. As an educator as well, we have to understand every child is my child. Because today, I might be tutoring someone else's child, but tomorrow someone else in my family will also be tutored by me. So we have to look at it from that perspective. Every child that comes to me, every youngster that comes to me, the youth that come to me, they are my children. And when we speak about youth challenges, you are going to realize and understand one great mistake that we have made. And I quote this from my Ustad, Hazrat Mufti Sulaiman Mullah Sahib Damat Barakatum, and he says that every single thing that we were not privileged to have, which was actually a blessing in disguise, we have now handed over all those privileges to our children. And what happened? We thought that we loved them, so we gave them those privileges, not realizing we actually lost our children by giving them those privileges. So if you give them those privileges, you have to tutor them, mentor them, how to be able to utilize these distractions actually. So you have to talk about it as a distraction, because it has distracted many people. If you have to ask yourselves how much reading and research we did previously, and when social media came, how much of our research stopped, or how many hours of our research now got invested, or rather got wasted in social media usage as well. So we're talking about youth challenges. The first, as I mentioned, is digital distractions and constant screen time. You will see the new generation, the Gen Zs, the Alphas, and now even those that were born before this generation. We see how much time we are utilizing on digital distractions, so much on the screen as well. You know, very ironically, this has now become effective on the health of a child as well. Many young children are having the issue of are having to go to the optician, and the problem that they are having is eyesight. Mullah Ibrahim sir, there is a chair here, please. So we are looking at digital distractions on the matter of youth challenges and how it's going to affect a youngster. But very important to understand that this is actually now taking a toll on their health as well. Secondly, identity crisis and confusion around Islamic values. Now this is very detrimental, and today's youth are having an identity crisis. They don't know who they are. They don't know what Islamic values are all about. So firstly we have to understand that the child has got this challenge in his life. And this is not only relevant to Western countries, but this is also relevant to everywhere social media has reached. Because of the constant exposure to these things, we are having children that have got an identity crisis. They are confused about Islam. They are confused about the values of Islam. They probably are just practicing Islam because they've been brought up in a family setup. It's because of the fear of the parent, etc. And this is why this is happening for your children. Exposure to immorality and normalized sin. Again, you know, many things are linked to our digital world. So we look at exposure to immorality and normalized sin, and you will see that every single pop-up, every single reel, every single search engine is only speaking about immorality. It's only speaking about zina. It's only exposing them to pictures that are going to lead them to nudity as well. So this is a very serious challenge our youth are facing. And this is something which many a times, even if a youngster tries to avoid it, he might not manage to avoid it. And once he gets attacked by that thing, he gets taken away. So again, we have to realize and understand that this is a major challenge because it's become normal. The realization and the ihsas of guna is slowly coming out because of this. Then we look at spiritual detachment and loss of connection with Allah. Many a times, one of the, and this is this is basically the foundation, this is basically the core of everything, is the relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If a youngster has lost his spiritual connection, many a times a youngster is in madrasa, he is going to the maktab, he is coming to the masjid, but in the heart, there is no spiritual attachment to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There is no inclination to ibadah. There is no inclination to the masjid. This is one of the major challenges our youth face. And inshallah, we will discuss how we can revive this again, inshallah. Pressure from modern ideologies, atheism, liberalism, feminism, etc. This is one great challenge that our youth are facing. Modern ideologies, and this is a challenge exactly because we have not explained the value of our deen to them. So everything other than our deen looks enticing to them. As they say, the grass looks greener on the other side. Mental health struggles and emotional turmoil. This was not there before. This was not there before. But now today you see everyone speaking about counseling, speaking about psychology, speaking about all these things. So we have to realize and understand, in today's generation, mental health struggles and emotional turmoil are very, very relevant. And why has that become? Is one of the reasons I'll say is we become too demanding as educators and parents as well sometimes. So if my school is competing in a competition, now we demand, oh, if you have to pass and you'll do this and you'll do that. That child is going through trauma at night. That child is going through sleepless sleepless nights. And then we recently, maybe 2 years ago, we actually published an article, and this was directed to the parents, that every child is unique. Every child is unique because our children are facing challenges where a parent, an educator is trying to bring up the best out of the child more than the capacity of the child that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given him. So this is one of the challenges that our youth are facing as well. Doubts about Islam, too much exposure to social media, and not controlling them and not being able to understand who they are following, who they are listening to. They're now having doubts about Islam. We have situations where a Hafiz has come, a Hafiz of Quran, coming from a very strong spiritual background, and he comes and the first question he has is, does Allah really exist? And when the question comes from a house where he was spiritually grounded, he was brought up in a good way, then you start thinking, how did this come up? And then your question is, what more to those youth that don't come from a spiritual background? Breakdown of family structure. One of the issues that our children are facing is broken family homes, divorces, parental problems. This is also one major youth challenge. And we look lack of safe space of non-judgmental Islamic, non-judgmental spaces basically. So there is a lack of such environments where the children can go, and in a non-judgmental environment they can be answered, they can be assisted as well. Crisis of purpose. Our children face crisis of purpose. They don't know why they have been created. وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. You'll hear from the brothers in Jamaat. You'll hear from the ulama. You'll hear from everyone saying that Allah created us for His ibadah, for His worship. But really, do the youth understand what their purpose is? Do they understand what is لِيَعْبُدُونَ, لِيَعْرِفُونَ? This is one great challenge in our youth. Now, I just want to pose a scenario here. A voice from our youth. So, you see this in front of you. Islam feels outdated. I can't relate to it anymore. Islam is too strict. I don't enjoy Islam. I'd rather choose what I feel is best for me. Now my question is, I want us to discuss what led to this mindset. We have many people from different countries here. So I, as a presenter, I'm only presenting what I have gotten through my experiences. And it would be interesting to hear from our participants as well. What could have led to this mindset? I can open the floor for 2 minutes, inshallah.
Many of the youth are conflicted in their faith, but they've been taught the what and how of Islam, but not the why of Islam. So when they engage part of plural society, and people ask them, but why you have to pray 5 times a day? They have no answers for it. Second, and it's true, in giving our children what we did not have, we have forgotten to give them what we had. And I think that the school environment, much more can be done to impart Islamic knowledge. And we've got to understand the unique circumstances of each child. And I want to just recommend 2 powerful books I came across recently. And it has relevant in terms of also what it speaks about. The one is called The Anxiety Generation. The impact of social media in terms of the anxiety of young people becoming psychologically imbalanced, they're becoming suicidal. That's one book by Jonathan Haidt. The other book by a very powerful writer is called The Collapse of Parenting. And I think what is also important for educators, we also need to read, we need to understand the prophetic way of bringing up our children. And Allah bless you for your passion, really.
Jazakumullah khairah. Really appreciate this. So, as Uncle Idris is mentioning here, that these are the scenarios from our youth. And you find these questions very often and very common questions as well. So what could have led to this mindset? So many a times you will realize that this is going to come from a youngster in a very, very spiritual home. And then you start asking yourself the question, what could, the same thing I'm mentioning again, what could have led to this mindset, but what could be the condition of someone who is living in a non-spiritual home? Maulana has got something for us.
Just Jazakallah Maulana, just share Uncle Idris's sentiments. I think one of the reasons that you say it comes from even spiritual homes, Islam is وَكَذَلِكَ جَعَلْنَاكُمْ أُمَّةً وَسَطًا. Allah has made Islam a religion of moderation, which does not fall short of the limit and does not go beyond the limit. Perhaps one of the things is that we have made Islam seem to the youngster that it is almost impossible to follow, because we have taken what the Quran and the Hadith warns us, halakal mutanatti'un. Those who become excessive in religion will be destroyed. Nabi Karim Sallallahu said, stay away from too much of strictness in religion, excessiveness, because it will destroy you the way it destroyed people of the past. And when we make Islam seem to be that it is not practical, it is not pragmatic, it is not accessible, and it is something that takes away your fun, takes away your enjoyment, then you might get this type of reaction. So what we need to be doing is tell the people to enjoy their life within the confines of Islam, that they will look at Islam as a pragmatic way of leading your life.
I'll just take one more from a sister, and then inshallah we continue. Otherwise, I won't manage to end my slides.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Just khair for giving me this opportunity here. So basically the main this sort of a mindset is the lack of aqidah. So when you and it's always more of it is regarding your actions rather your words, and specifically for those countries who for those countries in which Islam is not that famous and it's difficult to practice and preach at the same time. I think first Islamic leaders leading in leading positions in schools and organizations, we need to follow the prophetic way. Prophet ﷺ always made it easier, and he convinced it with his own actions. So I think all of us, we need, for the youth looking at us, they see us as role models. So I think there's a huge responsibility on all of us in shaping their aqidah and in shaping their mindset. Jazakallahu khair.
Jazakumullah khairah for that. Inshallah, we can have more discussions even after the session, inshallah. So now let us speak about the traditional Islamic schooling. So we've got our madrasa, we've got our traditional Islamic schooling, things that come down from our pious predecessors. And let us understand and let us see how it is going to become relevant in today's time with the generation that we're working. So we're looking at strong Quranic foundation and memorization. This has always been there, the strong Quranic foundation, memorization of texts, important information. The Quran itself is a testimony that Islam, in our deen and in our methods of teaching, a lot of memorization is important. And you see that a man, an individual, a scholar, an academic person that has got many classical texts memorized, he is going to rise above the occasion. He is going to rise above the occasion because he is going to have a lot of information stored in his mind, in his brain. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us such a mind, such a brain, such a mindset that the more the person decides to memorize and learn and put an effort on his deen, you will see that that brain is going to now start functioning more. So the brain is such a muscle that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us. And you see that when you've got the strong Islamic foundation, the memorization, at any given moment, an ayat of Quran, a hadith, something relevant to deen, an answer to an objection is going to be opened on your heart by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I've seen this in my own scholar, Mufti Sulaiman Mullah Sahab. Any moment, any place, wherever he goes, and the moment the occasion puts him on the spot, an ayat of Quran and hadith is going to come out. That makes you understand that when you have a strong Quranic foundation and memorization, you are going to be able to understand your deen and love your deen. So this is something that needs to continue, the strong Quranic foundation and memorization. Secondly is emphasis on adab and discipline. It has always been there. In academic sectors, we are losing it now that there is not much emphasis on adab and discipline. We don't want great achievers only. We want upright leaders that are uprooted in faith and they are uprooted in good character. We've got the transmission of sacred tradition and classical texts. This is very important to save our deen, to protect our isnad, to protect where our deen comes from. Transmission of sacred tradition and classical texts. This is something that needs to remain even in today's era, relevant to our subjects, relevant to the topics, relevant to the educational departments that we are in. These are the three things that have always been there in traditional Islamic education, and they need to continue. And every single thing here is a topic on its own, is a workshop on its own. Now we are just going over all this, and inshallah we can have more information regarding this. We can do more research, and inshallah we can be in touch regarding this. Now we look at rote memorization without deep understanding. There was a time where you just tell the child, a student of deen, a student, just memorize and you'll get to understand things later. This does not work anymore. Again, that is where I was going to mention that rote memorization means a child will come, he'll memorize, and he'll memorize things that are relevant to the topics that are most commonly asked in the examination. He'll go there, he'll write the exam, and he'll forget about it. So rote memorization without deep understanding is very, very wrong in today's time, because our children need to know the why of everything. They need to know the why of everything. And the reason for that is, I will explain it in my coming slides, inshallah, so that we understand where we are coming from. Then we talk about limited real world relevance. Our children, previously in the past, you just understand the deen and you'd be allowed to figure out. But today, with so much being bombarded towards our mindsets, with so much information and data that is coming through, we cannot live our children just like that. They need to be taught things in a relevant world. They need to be explained topics relevant to the time. How we can apply every single thing in today's time. How we can apply this knowledge. How it is going to benefit us. This is very important. So don't leave the child just like that. Give him practical topics and practical scenarios and environments where he can relate all these things. We talk about disconnect from youth realities and interests. There was a time, be in a Darul Uloom, be wherever we are, you know what? You need to be serious about your academics. You don't need to focus your mind on anything else. Today's children, they've got distraction on every single place. Every single corner of the house. How many smartphones in the house? How many gadgets in the school? How many gadgets in the madrasa? How many gadgets in the friend circle? Now, you cannot disconnect from youth realities and interests. With that child, you have to relate. You have to talk to him. You have to speak his language. If a child is passionate about soccer and you know he's an introvert and he would not open up with you, then speak to him about it as well. Discuss it. Which team do you support? Talk to him. Get him into something which he loves. And then once you've gotten him into something he loves, he will be the first person to love you. He'll be able to relate to you, and he'll become the most talkative person when he is with you. So you cannot disconnect them from youth realities and the interests as well. And minimal integration with emotional and psychological development. As I mentioned in my earlier slides as well, today's children are facing this emotional trauma, mental health struggles as well. So now we need to speak to them about it. We need to tell them how to cope with these kind of conditions. If a child is too stressed, he's got too much work on his shoulders, then how is he going to be able to integrate that stress into his life and love what he is doing? So this is something that we need to bring into our Islamic education, which was not previously taught, or probably which was frowned at in the past. And then gender relevant tarbiyah gaps. So we've got certain times, it's just a blanket topic that is being discussed. We are speaking about it, but it's blanket. It's just like, oh, boys and girls, you are growing old and you need to follow your deen, etc. But then there's so many topics that can be discussed separately with boys, separately with girls, in that environment, in their setups as well. And this is very important. We need to open up with our youth. Now we speak about the renewed holistic model. So here, the first thing that we need to speak about with regards to youth education is intellect, aql, academic and critical thinking. Now we need to teach our children to start thinking critically. We need to give them the platform that they can use their minds. We need to give them the platform where they can ask. That is why I mentioned that Jazakallah to Uncle Idris when he said that we haven't taught our children the why. And we should allow them to ask as well. So many a times we judge them. If they ask us a question, no, this is kufr, and no, you're not supposed to ask, and Islam is just to... No, Islam has got answers to everything. Our deen has got solutions to everything. The beauty of our deen is to believe in what? In ghaib. To believe in the decision of Allah. To understand deen without questioning. But our deen has not left us without answers and solutions. Every question has got an answer, and every problem in our deen has a solution. So you have to teach our children to start thinking as intellectuals and let them think critically. Critical thinking is a topic on its own. We've got workshops on critical thinking, how to teach a child to think critically. An educator, how to think critically. What if this situation comes on hand? What if this happens with my child? What if this youngster comes to me? How am I going to answer him? How am I going to become relevant to him? And how am I going to continuously be a role model for him? Because many a times, we are the educators, we are the tutors, we are the ulama that are spending majority of our time with our children. But you don't become his role model. There is something wrong there. Heart, qalb, emotional and spiritual tarbiyah, very important. Together with academics and together with the excellence in academics, you have to tutor them, you have to nurture them, you have to mentor them. That there is spiritual tarbiyah as well. With the qalb, you have to have good character, empathy, sympathy, have a good heart, trying to help people. This is something that we need to give a lot of importance to it, and we need to make it the cornerstone of our youth education. And then the soul, connection to Allah in purpose. This is the most important thing again. That youngster needs to have a connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You know, this was, I actually picked up many of these things from one of our keynote speakers last year in Malaysia, when Dr. Samir, I think so. And he spoke about in aqal and qalb and ruh. And these were very intense sessions. I don't think so I'll be able to do justice if I have to start speaking about this. But let us look at the renewed holistic the model. So I said intellect, to teach our children to think critically, and then we've got the qalb, to basically nurture our children to become good leaders, sympathy, empathy, akhlaq, good character, and then the connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then balance education for both dunya and akhirah. So we have to teach our children, then they can succeed in dunya and they can succeed in akhirah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you see the dua, رَبَّنَا أَتِنَا فِي الدُّنْيا حَسَنَةً وَفِي الْآخِرَةِ حَسَنَةً. Oh Allah, we are asking for you for goodness in this world and goodness in the hereafter. Though there is different interpretation for what it means for goodness in dunya, but at the end of the day, we need to have a balanced approach to both deen and dunya. Not that a person is only in deen and not in dunya, he doesn't know what is happening around him, or a person is so much grounded in his dunya and so much worried about his energies being invested into making money and everything else, and forgetting the point of his akhirah. Then we look at digital discipline and media literacy. This is very important. In a generation of AI, we need to teach our children digital discipline and media literacy. So we need to teach them how to learn through technology, how they should be educated via the medium and the means of technology, but at the very same time, digital discipline. What to see, what not to see. What to touch, what not to touch. Where to go, where not to go. You know, you can put those blockers on the app and say that my child should not be doing this, but that would mean that you're locking up the child in the house. The moment the child comes out of the house, he'll do every single thing that you stopped him from doing because you are too strict. If you don't teach a child digital discipline with media literacy, then that child is going to lose the plot. The day he gets a gadget from someone else, or the day he stops being under someone's control or someone's eyes, he is going to do this. We speak about ideological immunity as well. That here, one of the things that we need to introduce is the ideological immunity that is happening within our children. So now what happens is, the child is very immune to these things as well, to his ideology and to Islam, and we need to now make them understand the answers to the objections that come against Islam. At the very same time, we need to make our children understand the answers to our deen. Why are we doing certain things? So this ideological immunity as well needs to be very seriously integrated, whether it be in our curriculums, whether it be in our setups, in our schools, etc. Community and brotherhood. This is very important as well, that we give them spaces where they can create brotherhood, they can have spaces where they can relate. We've got halaqas, you've got community setups, you've got support groups where the children can feel they are belonging to some group. They are part of an ummah. They are part of a movement. They are part of some work of deen taking place. And they are basically going to be able to give something to the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And personal growth and leadership training. We need to give our children the leadership training, how to become leaders from a very young age. Personal growth, how do you grow as an individual? We are remaining stagnant today. So a child, after he graduates, he's very stagnant. I have become an architect and that's it. But you can go further. You can have personal growth. You can become a motivational speaker. You know, don't only be that architect that just gives plans. No, you will motivate someone else to do something. So you have to give them that personal growth, the avenues of personal growth, the support in how they can manage to grow themselves as an individual. Again, that is going to be the responsibility of the tutor, is going to be the responsibility of the mentor, that he recognizes the potential in every child and he tries to make him excel in that. If you don't recognize the potential of your child, if you don't recognize the potential of your student, then you're not an educator. You're just a lecturer. You're not a mentor, because you need to have that connection with every single youngster to be able to understand the qualities, to be able to understand their strengths, and to be able to guide them in their strength as well. I will quickly go over this. So we've got a guiding hadith, كل مولود يولد على الفطرة. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam's hadith that every child is born on fitrah. Fitrah means the disposition and the habit of doing the right thing at the right time. To be able to differentiate between haqq and batil, halal and haram. Every child has got that fitrah when he is born. But then Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said that the environment, his parents change him, basically the things around him change the child. So our education must nurture the fitrah. Don't fight the fitrah. Our education nurtures fitrah. It does not fight fitrah. And our goal from all this is what? Upright, resilient leaders, not just great achievers. Not just great achievers. So if your child won the best character at school, but his marks were not so wow, you should be proud of your child. And don't be sad that he didn't get the best of marks. I'll just tell you something. You know, we've kept a youth soccer tournament in the coming weekend, and what we did was we wrote on the poster, and this was the first of its kind, that the winners are going to get medals, trophies, and a meal at a good restaurant, and then the best akhlaq team is going to get a 2-night stay at a resort. Every team is now fighting to get the best akhlaq. Give them such incentives and initiatives that is going to lead them to now start working on their akhlaq, start thinking about their akhlaq. One of the youth comes and asks, so Maulana, if we come in topi and jabba, are we going to get the award? I said, no, it's not having a topi and jabba to have good akhlaq. It needs to be within you. You need to work towards that as well. Now, faith across the curriculum. So I'm not much into education, I'm not an educator, I'm not an academic, but just to give you an idea that faith across our curriculum, in science, we need to teach our children the science of Allah's creation. And this is science, biology, the entire body. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَفِي أَنفُسِكُمْ أَفَلَا تُبْصِرُونَ. Allah's greatness is within your body. Biology is a study of the entire body of a person, his organs, etc. We need to think about how we can integrate the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Speak to them about Allah in a science lesson. Literature, stories with value and purpose. So now when we're teaching them literature, we should teach them stories that is going to have values, purpose. What do we learn from this story? Stories of Islamic, the giants of Islam, our pious predecessors. What can you learn from there? So now we need to now change. We need to change who the role models are. And then the next point will tell you, history, Muslim contributions and moral lessons. What our history subjects focused on? Are we speaking about the history of Islam? Ask today's youngster. We speak about genocide and we speak about Palestine. But what is the history of Palestine? How did Palestine be taken over? What happened with Salahuddin Ayyubi rahimahullah? And how Nuruddin Zangi and all these people came for the conquest of Palestine? What was the history of Islam in Palestine? How did Umar radiallahu anhu conquer Palestine? Ask our youth. They are blank on this. If they don't understand the cause that we are fighting for, how will they be able to be passionate about the cause? So that is why we need to integrate this in our curriculums. Then we're talking about technology, ethical use, screen addiction and AI discussions. Technology needs to be integrated, and we need to have these discussions. What is good for you? What is bad for you? Social media is good if you use it collectively. And if you abuse it, it is detrimental. So we need to discuss these things as well. And technology should be integrated in our curriculum. Let us try to move with the times, remaining relevant on our principles. Field work, value-based assignments. Give them work. Tell them to go plant a tree. Tell them to go and give someone, help someone. Value-based assignments, field work, community service. This is very important for our children to be nurtured in the best of ways. Introduce sensitive topics like LGBTQ, pornography, and identity in age-appropriate, faith-anchored ways. We need to speak about these topics. We shy from these topics, and we feel that these are not topics that can be discussed. But very sad to say that what happens is, if we don't discuss these topics, our children are already looking for these things. They're already informed about these things. They already know about these things. In their own personal circles and individual circles, they are speaking about these things. So if we don't speak to our children and show them the right way, the why of everything, and how to overcome addiction, how not to be able to fall into these traps, it is going to be very detrimental, because our youth are exposed to this on a daily basis. You know, a survey was made with regards to what percentage of children are buying into the ideology of LGBTQ on Muslim children in one of the countries. And obviously statistics can always be wrong, but say that the new generation, Gen Z and Alpha, 25 to 30% are already becoming lenient towards the ideology of LGBTQ. What is going to happen in the future? We have to think about this. Now we have to go to the power of informal education, which is something that we need to look into. Youth camps, deep spiritual reflection and brotherhood.
While some were gripped by the wonderful experience of trying to hit the bullseye, for others it was the amazing experience of riding the horse all by themselves. You know?
So one of the things that we as Al-Ihsan Trust do is we do this informal outdoor setups. We've got our youth camps, and in the youth camps, different age groups, you take them in an outdoor setup, make them do the things that they are passionate about, let them enjoy the day, but at the very same time, you will make spiritual tarbiyah. You will make them read salah together. You'll have a spiritual talk with them. You'll have zikr with them. You'll have tilawat with them. So we need to speak more about informal outdoor setups. Whether it is a youth organization, it is a school, it is a madrasa, we have to introduce these setups. Take the children out in an environment where they'd love to be and teach them the deen there, and see how fast they will grasp, and more than importantly, how fast their heart is going to be attached to us. Outdoor classes, emotional connection to deen. Take them in an outdoor environment, which I mentioned previously.
But eventually their fears turned into confidence, and this initiative turned out to...
So this was a practical Qurbani demonstration. So we took them in an outdoor setup, practical Qurbani demonstration was done, the essence of Qurbani was done for them. Halaqas and bonfires. 4, safe spaces for tough discussions. So now you're going to be there, you're going to be chilling with them, it's going to be a marshmallow on the fire, and after that, so many discussions and so many topics will come out which you'll never get in class, and you'll never get into a one-to-one discussion.
Fire also turned out to be very productive in order to strengthen the
welfare activities, instilling empathy and leadership. So we are not a welfare organization. We use welfare as a tool for youth development. Youth are requested to give something from their pocket money, and whatever minimal can come out from their own money, not their parents' money. A project is then identified, and the youth are utilized for the very same purpose. Shape hearts with compassion, approachability, and no judgment. I think so that is clear. Life skills integration. In our outdoor setups, our children should not only be taught how to practice deen. Our children should not only be taught how to overcome addiction. They should also be taught soft skills, hard skills. They should be taught real life situations, how to deal in real life situations. For that, I will give you 2 examples. One is going to be a practical first aid session, and the other one is going to be a tire changing session.
Was the talbiyah of the young boys. For that we had Iman booster circles in which the importance of Surah Yasin was imparted, followed by its recitation and
a skill that every driver needs to learn. To add flavor to this exercise, groups competed as to who would change the tire the fastest.
So my time is, I'm actually running out of time. This is something that I came up with as an equation for our youth. Faith plus skills. If you integrate both, you get leaders. Spiritual grounding plus 21st century competence. So they will be competent with the challenges of the day, and together with that they will have spiritual grounding, they will be taught deen, they will have the connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then you have critical thinking, creativity and collaboration. So you have a youngster that thinks he's got a critical thinking mindset. Together with that he's creative. He can think about, look at the works of Baitul Salam, Mullah Abdul Sattar Sahib in Pakistan, and you will see how creative the youth are. With AI, coding, they're making their own videos, they're making their own instruments, they're making their own technology. This is something that we need to look into very deeply. You can see the works of Baitul Salam Trust. I have been inspired, many have been inspired by the works, and you will see how great works are being done by Maulana Sahib. Then youth trained in service, humility and leadership. You need youth that are trained in serving the deen of Allah. They are humble as well, and they've got a good relationship with everyone. They've got the quality of being a leader. Let's create leaders. Let's create the qualities of a leader. Faith is the soul of every subject. Values-based education shapes tomorrow's ummah. We have to understand, we are shaping an ummah for tomorrow. We are shaping a generation that is going to lead the ummah tomorrow. That is why you have to give them value-based education steps. Faith gives direction, skills give momentum. I think so, I'll skip this. It was just a scenario where a student hides his Muslim identity. What could have caused this? How we can respond as educators or leaders? What support systems can we build? So everyone coming from a different background, I'm sure you'd want to give an input. Let's see, inshallah, if we get a chance towards the end of the slides. So I will just share some interview snippets of children and youth that have come to the camps, they have come to these outdoor setups, and what do they feel about it?
In a simple one word, are very understanding, are very competent, and they teach in the manner that the youth of nowadays understand.
My name is Imran Ayami and I'm from Justin, Lusaka. I would love you guys to bring your children because it's a very nice environment, everyone is welcoming. My first experience and I enjoyed it, alhamdulillah. And inshallah, the next one will be here.
I came to the Al-Ihsan camp here in Eureka Park and it was very nice, very good. The food was very nice. I had a great time overall. The talks were very inspiring. And inshallah, I'll become a better Muslim tomorrow. And may Allah give us all tawfiq to practice.
I think so you can just take pictures of this. My time is culminating. So planning real change, we use this 3-step framework. Let us identify a challenge in our school setting. Let us propose a renewed strategy and let us list an immediate first step. Start small, but start immediately. Key messages to take home. Islamic education must evolve without compromising values. We need more than academic success. We need moral leaders. Youth camps, service projects, and love-based tarbiyah work should be something that should be looked into very seriously and should be integrated in our setups. Every educator is a muallim and a murabbi. You're a teacher as well, but you're a mentor as well. Be mentors who guide you through not through topics only, but compassionately and confidently. Keep learning and keep growing. Change your approach when needed, but never your principles. Before, you'd see a situation where a teacher and ustad was always respected, they'd stand up for you, they'd make salam, they wouldn't talk in front of you. Today's time, the youth have changed. They'll answer you back, they'll laugh at you, etc. Don't compromise your values. As an ustad, be an ustad, but overcome a lot of things. They say that al-ilmu la yutika ba'du hatta tu'tiyahu kullak. If you are not going to give your everything for knowledge, then knowledge will not even give you a portion of it. I say the very same thing. If you don't give everything to your youth, they'll not even give you a portion of themselves. So these are the key messages to take home. I think so I will end my slide here. There was much that I wanted to say, but obviously we don't have much time. Just to give you an idea, you can read through it inshallah, what Al Ihsan Trust is all about. We are a youth organization. At the heart of the trust lies a passion coupled with concern for the youth of the Ummah to empower and uplift them by providing the tools, opportunities and guidance they need to thrive in both deen and dunya. One of the core concerns for this motivation was witnessing the emerging challenges the youth face on a day-to-day basis. This concern was nurtured and refined under the guidance of Mufti Sulaiman Mullah, whose advice and guidance shaped this vision. The journey was then enhanced by witnessing the profound works of Darul Ihsan Humanitarian Center in South Africa, which led to consulting and seeking advice from Mufti Zubair Bayat Damat Barakatum, who is the Amir of Darul Ihsan, a renowned expert in the field, and an embodiment of most of the avenues where the khidmah of deen can be offered. I think so. I'll just end it here. So, inshallah, anyone that wants to know more about Al Ihsan Trust, the work that Al Ihsan Trust is doing, inshallah, we can have a discussion at the conference. You can also get my number. Inshallah, I'll share my number with you, and inshallah, we can have more discussion regarding this. I'll open the floor for Q&A, inshallah.
Jazakallah, wonderful presentation on the ground realities of every country. I just want to add one thing, that with all these things, if GAIS, on the platform of GAIS, if we can develop a framework how to develop mentors. We must understand one thing, that modernity is a mazhab. All Abrahamic religions have a challenge with this mazhab. So they have their own ilm kalam, they have own their aqaid, they have own their aqidah, and all these two institutions, ruh and qalb, are missing from there. So to understand modernity, we need to develop our mentors. So if someone is doing a framework of how to develop mentors, it will be beneficial. And the second thing, my advice will be to you, Sheikh, also, and the others also doing so many jobs here. So we collect some videos, because not every parent can give answers of the Gen Zs. Now even they don't understand the language of Gen Zs, how they will give the answers of Gen Zs. So because half of the parents, they don't know the language of Gen Zs. So if we can pull in some small videos that this is in the language of Gen Z, so at least they can download. Like people like us, they say that even if we put the VPN, the download is not going on. So that is the problem. So I think so, it's a wonderful thing, wonderful area, and this is not the problem of your country, it's all over the world, global village. So wonderful job you are doing. May Allah make it easy for you. Thank you very much.
For your information, tomorrow, same time, there is an idea session is happening here. So there it's discussing about how the common best practices can bring into one single platform.
As Maulana was saying, that totally agreed. You need to also understand the language. Because now, hey, Maul, say that thing is kral, man, hey, man. Like, hey, you're gonna come to the posy and hey, it's bookie, Maul, it's bookie. Now, how are you gonna understand bookie? You don't have to advocate that. You don't have to support that language. You have to tell them to speak the right English. But that slang that they're speaking, you need to relate to them. You need to speak in their language. And you'll see how fast they will relate to you just by speaking the language. Sometimes it's said to say you have to use certain words that are not even good. But that's the only way to paint them. You have to use those words as they, obviously it doesn't break our principles of Sharia, but the things that they mean behind it. But if you understand the language, sometimes they'll be like, hey, but how did you know my language? How do you know this thing? So you have to know the language, very important.
Assalamu alaikum. What Sheikh said is so important. One of the things is not about even the school, the curriculum. It's about the teacher. And that's the most critical person. A teacher can inspire a lot of growth. He said, we do not teach what we know, but we impart who we are. It's about your own character. Things have changed radically. They say if you teach how you were taught, you rob the children of tomorrow. So I always say this, Islam is a beautiful deen. We need to present it to our beautiful, innocent children in a beautiful way for a world that is going ugly. And I think we are in a crisis situation. I was shocked to learn that there are organizations called like the Ex-Muslim Association, the UK, Ex-Muslim Association of America, and now in South Africa we also got that. You know, it's shocking, right? So I hope through your passionate presentations, we will begin to reflect that we are not so pedantic, that we are so concerned about the content of the textbook, as it were. And just to end it off, when growing up in my small town, Poshepson, my dad would ask me on a Sunday, Idris, where did you go? I said, no, I went to Ismail Dawood's place. So he's happy. He knows Ismail Dawood, he knows the family, so the values are the same. Today, in your own home, your child could be in the bedroom. They're coming for dinner, and you ask your child, where are you coming from, darling? He said, I'm coming from the bedroom. You say, no, where are you really coming from? Because through these gadgets, you can be transported any other place, right? So I really hope, as those of you who are teachers, will begin to seriously reflect on how you are teaching, what you are teaching. The time for pontificating and sermonizing is over. You need to ask the children what they really think about you. And I want to end off with a very sad story, but there's a purpose behind it. If someone were to ask me, Idris, we look back all the students that you had over the years, who are 10 students that stand out? I would have chosen one person until I learned, but I connected with him, that he became a homosexual. He lost his wife, he became a drug addict. It broke me. It really broke me. Someone else told me from that town. So I went, I connected with him. I began to speak to him. You understand? And he tried to connect with me. He was very, very embarrassed. Then he used to go for Umrah. He used to call me Daddy. Daddy, I'm standing in front of the Kaaba making dua for you. Right? What I'm saying is this, that we need to relook at how we teach Islamic studies. There are people who have given up Islam because of the way Islam studies were taught. And one person in a very, he likes to joke, may Allah bless him, he said, my Imam told me that every part of the body I hit you will be safe from the fire of hell. He loved me so much, he spared no part of my body.
Assalamu alaikum. I'm Brother Saad from Mauritius. I work with a lot of children, young children in our boarding school in Mauritius. And we have an increasing number of children coming from single parent families or broken families. And I think there are shayateens who work for Iblis, and the one that Iblis appreciates more is the one that breaks the family. And I cannot imagine the harm and the void that these children have to go through. And it's like they have a broken personality, and they kind of develop they are becoming hardened children. They think they behave like children would not behave at their age. So my question to you as a mentor, how would you deal with such children, how to rebuild their personality? I'm talking about children who grew up with their grandparents and they didn't have the warmth and love of a mother or a father for 10 to 12 years. So how would you deal with such kids?
This is a very important question, and I'd say that our brother is asking us regarding children that come from single parents, or maybe divorced, etc. But do you know what is the sad reality before I answer this question? Most of the homes of today are broken homes. And why do I mean that? The child is in the house, the father is on his gadget, the mother is on gadget. So this is also a broken home. There is no form of tarbiyah in the house. And then because of the stress that comes through that social media, there's always fighting going on. One of the youth was telling me, Maulana, we went for a holiday, and that was the worst holiday of my life, because my father and my mother were fighting every single time. So I said, what was the fight all about? He said, my mother was hooked on a phone, and my father was like, you've come here, come on, let's spend time with the family, etc. And she'd be like, but I find more comfort in my phone than my family. There are children there. So these broken children that come, the most important thing in my few years of experience I've seen, and people that have come, is that you have to give them the love. It's all about muhabbah, because this is what they were devoid of, and this is what is causing a lot of children to break away and to lose their plot. And it's zina and it's drugs and everything else. It's because of these broken homes. So you need to give them the muhabba, you need to give them the love, you need to give them the affection, and inshallah, that is the first step of it. Try to give them every single thing that they were deprived of, and try to speak to them how it means to grow up and to become an individual and how to love yourself, etc. They need counseling, they need love, and I've seen a lot of benefit through the ways of counseling. When you counsel the boy, you confide into the boy, you give him the heart to speak his heart out, and you'll see that eventually he is going to take you as his mentor. He is going to take you as his go-to person. And inshallah, through that, you'd be able to build that connection with him and obviously try to stop more damage from happening. You can't basically overcome the harm. It might be overcome, but no one can replace a father or a mother. So all you can do is you can stop further damage happening and try to guide him in such a way that he tries to love himself. You give him the love so he loves himself. And inshallah, through love, you will be able to reach many greater heights. Just one more.
Are generalizing, as you mentioned, and having a one-size-fits-all type of lecture. But I think that if we are truly true to what we're doing, we really need to understand how to elevate the girls in our school to be the mothers of tomorrow, the wives of tomorrow, the women of tomorrow, how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves us equally but differently, and what does that look like? Even the males should understand their roles and responsibilities just like the females, and I think this is one thing in schools that we forget to give to our girls in that setting. And I think that we're losing the plot and having wives who have made those comments that I find comfort in my phone because we're not emphasizing that strong enough. And even in the presentations, sometimes what ends up happening is that there are outdoor activities for males, but there aren't anything for females. There's so many things that men can do, but women cannot do for various reasons. And I think that we need to really purposefully plan those things for our girls, inshallah.
Jazakumullah khairah for that. I was actually I actually skipped what she just mentioned. I was going to go deeper into that, about creating mothers, about creating daughters, etc. Alhamdulillah, she has covered it up, and that's why I see the beauty of interaction and the beauty of being together. That sometimes something that is missed by the speaker himself or the moderator will be taken up. I'll just take his.
Thank you very much. I just want to add a small caveat over here. That sometimes what happens is that in trying to correct the situation, you're actually making things very toxic for the youth. And they're already going through a lot. And we have our own assumptions, we have our own presumptions, and we approach them as if they're there to listen and we're there to speak. And that only adds to the toxicity. They will only connect to us when we start listening to them. And I do feel that at the moment it's just a one-way traffic. It's not a two-way traffic. I just wanted to add that caveat that we should prevent it from becoming toxic for them.
Jazakumullah khairah. Again, you might think that my slides has got that as well. I just skipped it. Listen more, talk less. Give them more of a hearing, and inshallah you'll definitely see that the more you hear, you'll have cheaper, not cheaper, you'll have expensive solutions in a fewer words. But the more you speak, it's like this guy speaks too much. It's a world, we're living in a generation that doesn't want too much information. They want bite size, they want those small reels, etc. So even when it comes to us as mentors, that is why our lessons should also be very, very, we have to basically shrink our lessons, but rather give them the heart, inshallah, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it beneficial for us. And whatever discussions we had, inshallah, even on the sidelines of the conference, we can have more discussions. May Allah ta'ala make it beneficial, bless us all, and may Allah ta'ala make our coming fruitful for the akhirah, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
May Allah bless you, my brother.
سعد إلى منتهى